Hello everyone, my name is Adriana Calli, and today I will be presenting on if journalism should be data-driven. Now, before I give you my take on this, let's start with the basics. What exactly is journalism? According to Google, it's the activity or profession of writing for newspapers or magazines or of broadcasting news on radio or television. No argument there. For this presentation, the term journalism is a little broad, especially when there's so many different aspects of writing for the media. There's broadcast journalism, where you write for radio or television news, investigative journalism, or writing for uncovering news events, and tabloid journalism, purely for good entertainment, just to name a few of them. Then there's writing for different industries, like sports, fashion, entertainment, technology, business, and science. If there's an interest in it, there's a need for someone to be writing about it. But regardless of what you're writing about, you need to have one important aspect in mind. Who is reading it? Journalists have a bad reputation as it is, and I think this quote from George Orwell puts it best. Journalism is printing what someone else does not want printed. Everything else is public relations. However, while this quote is completely true, it is also completely false. Journalism, or at least successful journalism, is publishing what people want to read and knowing exactly what those topics may be. The difference in writing about what your audience really wants to hear and writing about what you think they want to hear are two completely different things. And depending upon your experience, your content is probably off track. So, how do you figure out what they really want? Guesswork isn't an option here. They can be assigned by their editor. Write based on a recent news event in their area or on a national event. They can talk to people and find out their interests. They can expand on a story they've already written or that someone else has. Or they can do their own research and find out what's going on around them. However, there is another tool that can be used by journalists and writers everywhere that happens to be the tell-all of public opinions, feelings, and interests that is not only completely free, but easily accessed and available to communicate with millions of people. What is this, you ask? It's social media, and it's no secret. In fact, in a recent article from the Washington Post, it stated that 40% of journalists said that social media networks are very important to their work. Also, a whopping 78.5% of journalists said they check social media regularly for breaking news, and another 60% said they use it to find ideas for stories. However, while journalists are thrilled to have this tool at their palms, literally, to help them inspire them for their next article or segment, social media also happens to be what is causing the slow decline of their industry. Social media has begun to eliminate the need for print media. Picking up a newspaper isn't exactly necessary when you can read everything off of a website, or have important headlines fed into your newsfeed with minute-by-minute details of breaking news. It isn't possible for print media to deliver that kind of coverage. Print media may be on its way out, but journalism isn't dead just yet. And while social media may have trampled over journalists on its way to the top, there are many concepts that can be learned and applied to journalism to give it a much-needed revival. But one in particular could make all the difference. Consider analytics a journalist's new best friend. These important statistics might appear as numbers to most, but they can tell you so much about your audience, including their individual demographic information, to the types of articles they respond to, and which ones they don't. Different tools will also be able to tell you different things, giving you a wide array of information. So, why is this important? What makes this information useful? Well, think of that principle, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody is around to hear it, does it make a sound? That same concept applies to journalism. If a writer prints a piece, but there is nobody around to read it, does it make an impact? Probably not for both scenarios. By correctly interpreting the data you're provided as a writer, you will better be able to determine the type of content your readers respond to best and which they don't, and ultimately be able to better satisfy their needs. The better you provide them with content they're looking for, the better your chances are of keeping a loyal audience. However, there are still some doubts had among the masses about using data in journalism. The naysayers say that the power of the numbers will deter some journalists from publishing different pieces of work they feel may not resonate with, or vice versa. Others also believe that journalism isn't ready to see statistical data just yet, and that the numbers can never replace smart, emotional, and personal reporting. This may be true, but expecting the data to have the power to take away that writer's influence on the article isn't exactly giving much credit to the writer's technique. The worry over data's effect on journalism is wasting valuable time to make adaptations to the current tools available, which, by the way, have already been proven to be utilized by a large percentage of journalists. Analytics were not created to destroy current methods, but to assist and make better. Social media is a perfect example of this. Overall, data will be helpful to journalists alike as it will help them to better understand what types of written work resonates best with their audience among different characteristics. Without analytics, it would be extremely tedious and time-consuming for a journalist to determine what their audience enjoys reading. By adapting these analytical practices now, it will not only assist with the current state of the industry, but also determine how to better these practices for future use. Just remember, in a world where content is journalism's king, there is no kingdom without data.